Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So let's take a look at some legacy items real quick. I always like looking at the fiat pairs just to see what's going on, see if we can get any leg up on anything pending or coming soon. What we're seeing on the USDCNY side is a potential for increased weakening. Now this is set by the PBOC or whoever in China, so this isn't like, it looks like a cup and handle, sure, but it doesn't mean it'll actually play out like that. And as you can see, they can just hold the rate for years at a certain level and just let it be. But if this does weaken, if we do get increased US dollar strength, you'll probably see additional capital flight out of China, which is bullish for crypto. On the right is the US dollar index. It was building this rising bearish reversal type pattern over the past year. It's kind of bounced back. Trump's talking about wanting to print a bunch of money to weaken the currency to compete against the euro and the yuan. So who knows how this is going to play out. But games in fiat are always bullish for crypto, regardless basically of what happens. And then of course we've got the November election coming in 2020. Going to be super interesting how crypto reacts to that, depending on who gets elected. We basically went up after Trump got elected in crypto land. So something to consider. And then oil, I'm kind of watching here. This is the 3-day on traditional settings for cloud. I don't like to jump around high time frames too much on crypto stuff, but in legacy, high time frames are definitely preferred. Stuff tends to move slower. You can see how well this kind of trended from September to December, basically. September 2017 to December 2018. So anyway, we got this drop. It's sort of coiling. If we get a break above, that'll signal for a bullish move, obviously. You could argue some sort of harmonic pattern building here, some sort of bat or whatever. Yeah, something to look at. And then something else to consider is how this Aramco IPO will affect crypto, if it'll sort of suck liquidity worldwide. They're expecting like some ridiculous number. What is it, like 2 trillion valuation. So it'll be interesting to see if that does anything at all. And then lastly, for the legacy part, if we compare gold to Bitcoin, this is the Bitcoin market cap on the top. In general, we saw sort of gold strength, crypto weakness, gold weakness, crypto strength, and then all of a sudden like a switch got flipped and now we're both risk off bullish. I don't really know what's going on anymore as far as that's concerned, but there was a pretty loose correlation that looked real before, but now it's kind of instead of being inverse correlated, they seem to be more correlated than not. So if gold's pulling back, you know, this doesn't really mean anything in general, but it's just interesting to think about and look at as far as where we think crypto might go based on that. Last video I was talking about CME contracts, and I said something like if we make it through this close without a move down, we'll see a bigger move up. We move down, unsurprisingly. The contract dates have been insanely important over the past, I don't know, year. I mean, it's just too coincidental that all this stuff has reacted the way it has around these dates. Especially even adding the most recent rollover. So the next one is July 26th, so the end of the month. And I'd even argue that we've sort of moved up in these two previous periods because there wasn't a rollover for the CME to like interrupt anything. It's certainly better if we have shakeouts throughout the way up. It fuels the rally, slingshots it up, as it kind of did here. So this could all be another slingshot up, definitely. But going forward, there's a few more, like the time sequence or the time duration is shorter than this, probably. Just eyeballing it by a couple days. Will that influence anything? I don't really know, but certainly something to consider and to watch these dates: July 26th, August 30th, September 27th. Okay, so in between last video and this video, we had this Adam Eve that worked out nicely. In crypto, almost never is the Adam and Eve equal height or depth. It just doesn't happen. So it's difficult to sort of measure what you expect. You know, if you measure from the Eve or do you measure from the apex of the atom? You can do both and sort of split the difference. None of that really mattered to me because I was watching the daily Kijun the most as far as a bounce point. So even though the measured move and the 1618 extension looked good as far as previous support, like order block area, the probability of us dropping more than 30% past the daily Kijun was just slim at that point. So if we look at the weekly cloud, a few things. Previously we had consolidation, a little markup, long consolidation, another markup above the weekly cloud, and then sort of another consolidation slowly, and then faster and faster markups and consolidations. So far, we've kind of skipped these slow consolidation periods for this run. I mean, it's just been, we consolidated and then it's just been straight up. So based on that, we're due for some slowness. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. Also, RSI looks good. We can stay trending above 50, above 80. Like, in reality, crypto doesn't really care for the most part. People say it's overbought on the weekly. That's fine. But, if we do consolidate for 200 days, this will reset. It'll trend towards 50, towards 60, and then we can see these spikes like we did before. Certainly better for the trend long term if that happens. Again, slow up, faster, and then a crash. That's generally what happens. Based on the cloud, last time we were above the cloud, we returned to the Kijun, like I was talking about last video. That's around 8,600, so that's certainly a possibility. Not something I'm looking for like today, but over this long consolidation period, if we get it, it's certainly possible. I'm watching this daily, I keep saying daily, weekly Kumo twist like we did previously. That kind of says, okay, everything's good to go. This should go up more than 50% probability, 75% probability. That's not coming for a while, most likely, probably a month before this flips. Now, if this does none of what I just said, just keeps going north, on the macro perspective, it's kind of something we've never seen before as far as getting this extended down period followed by just a massive run straight up without any consolidation. So that's something to consider as well. Definitely a lower probability, but not impossible based on the fact that we've had this bullish Kumo breakout on the weekly. It's just that not all the signals in the cloud have sort of caught up to that. And if I'm ever not sure, if I'm like in between, like, am I bullish, am I bearish up here? We've obviously had this massive move already. You can always decrease the length of the signals. So this is the singled weekly. Again, I like to compare it to the previous. So we waited until we were definitely out of the daily weekly cloud. So far here, we're not quite out. The signals look better than they do on doubled, certainly, but we're still in the cloud. And again, the Kijun's like 86. Not impossible that we sort of, do our thing for a little bit sideways before coming out like September, end of September. Wake me up when September ends is a meme because of Q3 being generally terrible. October, November, December has been money. Q4. So that's exactly when the cloud is giving you the higher probability of up. On the daily, it's a little more cut and dry, certainly above 50 on the RSI, which is bullish. We had this beautiful, amazing Kijun bounce that we eventually got, as I was talking about last video. When there's blood in the streets, you buy, bids on the Kijun, blah, blah, blah. Like, the strategy works. It is what it is. Perfect. So that's what we got. We got a massive bounce. Huge response on that level. Building another macro like Adam Eve sort of situation. Certainly not perfect or something I'm expecting, but something you can put in the back of your mind. And again, to compare to like the previous markup phase, how we sort of meandered within the daily cloud, never exactly dropped below it. That's certainly, if we get this long extended consolidation here, certainly something to watch for. Sort of a drop below, but staying above the daily cloud for an extended period of time. The OG Bitstamp Pitchfork, just want to show this again, even though people either love it or hate it. It's very polarizing. So we're certainly at the top of this historically, and if we break above further, I mean, it's just bonkersville again. If not, it's sort of projecting a return to the mean around 9K. So that would sort of fit with the weekly Kijun theory of us going sideways, bouncing off 9K before going higher, having some sort of consolidation. Now, if we look at the 4 hour, again, last video I was talking about the strength of the cloud on the 4 hour as far as the signals are concerned. 4 hour cloud is reset, it's flat, bearish TK cross, the whole shebang, lagging spans in cloud, whatever. Exactly what I want to see when I'm getting ready to take a position. RSI reset back to 50, great. Is there any sort of consolidation pattern here that's building? I think so. We got this beautiful descending volume profile. You're just not going to see like this many times, folks. Anytime you see something like this, you want to look for a pattern. If anything, just looking at the volume alone tells you, okay, there should be something going on here. Something's building. And arguably, I think there is inverted head and shoulders. So we have the power of a 4 hour breakout, potentially bullish. We have the power of a pretty long consolidation period. It's more than a week. It's a couple weeks here, right? Together, that should give us a pretty nice move. I didn't measure this, but it probably comes to somewhere around between 13 and 14. I don't know what it is. But in general, the 4 hour breakouts have trended very strongly for higher moves. And this is a pretty nice consolidation, similar to the Adam Eve top stuff. It was a pretty nice pattern drawn. Consolidation-wise looked good, and we got the expected move. This is a pretty good setup. Everything's reset. Looks good to me. So I will be trading this. Any breakouts will be bought heavily. If we look at ETH now, in general, alts have just been absolutely slaughtered. What we had previously was the bear div return to 50 on the RSI, so that's kind of reset. It's pretty interesting that this volume is sort of like once a month we get a move. So I don't really expect anything soon because we kind of had the move. But Cloud likes it for a bull trend. It's sort of near the Kijun. I mean, most of the alts on the USD pairs look like this, but they're just kind of sideways. We could certainly get its third drive to 400. Unsurprisingly, the 400 level was massive resistance just because of the previous zones. It was resistance, support, resistance. It's going to be resistance until it's not again. So, if we pull up to 400 and consolidate, that's bullish. But if it does another one of these pokey things, certainly not expecting continuation from there. And then the ETH BTC pair, it's kind of in a do or die zone, multi-year bounce level. So if it dies from here, it's going a lot lower, and it's sort of building this inverted cup and handle. There was a diamond reversal. So any diamond pattern's a reversal pattern. That sort of failed. I mean, we had this pretty decent run up, and then it just gets melted again. Run up, melted again. Run up, it's going to get melted again. And if it breaks this 0.25 level, which is a pretty big psychological level anyway, it's not impossible that it breaks down to even below 0.2. So it's certainly something to watch. I'm not in ETH right now, and I feel sorry for those who are, All right, that's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, and happy trading.